celebrate today the feast day of this champion of the Counter-Reformation, St. Charles Borromeo. He was born in 1538 in the midst of a very wealthy family, very important family, and in 1538 there was the environment in Italy and in Europe was the Protestant Revolution. So as being part of a big family and a big Catholic family, an important family, he had an older brother who was in charge of the states, all the family business. And he was chosen to follow the clerical career. He was chosen to be a cleric, which it didn't mean necessarily to become a priest immediately, but certainly to follow the path of, for example, be the abbot on an abbey. And they were at that point, they were kind of almost businessmen in charge of most ecclesiastical sectors. So as a young man, very smart, he studied law, canon law and civil law, and he doctorated when he was 21. As a younger man, he was very worldly, and he would do parties, and but he was very righteous and just with all the affairs. And his uncle, the brother of his mother, became a pope, Pope Pius IV. So he called his nephew to help him with all the states, the Vatican states. Still, he had a very, not super, but very worldly approach. He was wealthy, he would live well in his palace and have servants. And he was not even a priest, and he was already a cardinal, helping the Pope, his uncle, with all the Vatican states, as a Secretary of State. At some point, his father dies, and he is asked to take care of the business of the house, and at some point his older brother dies. And he is recommended, he is advised to leave the clerical career at that moment, and to marry and to take care of all the wealthy states and all his family business. And this is a very important and key moment in his life, because he started to think about it. Even the Pope advised him to do that, to abandon his career, and he decides to do the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola. St. Ignatius of Loyola was there in Italy, starting the order, the congregation. So he does the 3rd day of the spiritual exercises, and when he does that, and he admired the Jesuits because of the poverty in which the Jesuits lived, he determines not to abandon the clerical career. He determines to become a priest, and he changes completely his life. From having a worldly life, he decides to go into a very poor, very austere life. Even in the Vatican states, he would live almost as a monk. And the change was because, of course, God, the grace, but through the intercession of Ignatius. At that moment was not even a saint, but because of the spiritual exercise. Incredible, the transformation. Now, what did become from Charles? That he was one of the champions of the Counter-Reformation, meaning, thanks to him, the Council of Trent was able to resume and be finished, or be kind of completed. And he was one of the greatest composers of one of the most important composers of the Catechism of Trent, or the Roman Catechism. It was the big, important catechism in the church that taught the pastors the faith in order to teach all the truth against the Protestants. So you see, here we have a great saint. And then later in his life, a very important fact is when there was a big plague in Milan. By the way, he was named Archbishop of Milan, so he's called the second Ambrose in Milan. Then later there was a plague, a huge plague, so he served his people with a lot of zeal, with a lot of charity, with a lot of faith. He was the one who, in the midst of the plague, he would offer more communion and do processions and do Eucharistic processions and not close the churches, right? So he would do more for them. So here you have a great saint, Saint Charles Borromeo, who was a champion of the faith, of the Catholic faith, and thanks to him, in a big part, thanks to him, we have the Council of Trent. Thanks to him, we have the development of the doctrine against the Protestants. Thanks to him, we have the defense of our true faith. So let us pray to St. Charles today, first of all, that we may take advantage of the spiritual exercises. By the way, if you are here and you have not done the spiritual exercises, you should at some point. There are a huge means of conversion, huge means of sanctification. St. Francis de Sales said that there are more saints, the spiritual exercises have produced more saints than the letters that the book has. And that's true. And then ask him to defend the Catholic Church against the errors and against the heresies, and that the Catholic truth may